Before Google became one of the most powerful companies in the world, there was Yahoo. Yahoo was already one of the biggest names on the internet. It had millions of users. It was one of the most important gateways to the web. And when Google was still a tiny startup, Yahoo was already in a position to dominate online search. But something went wrong. Yahoo had opportunities to work with Google. It even became one of Google's early search partners. But Yahoo didn't build its future around Google. And eventually, the company that helped bring Google to its users would watch Google become one of its biggest competitors. So how did Yahoo lose control of the internet? And how did a tiny search engine become Google? This is the story of Yahoo's biggest missed opportunity. In the late 1990s, the internet was exploding. Millions of people were discovering the web for the first time. But there was a problem. There were too many websites, and finding useful information wasn't easy. Yahoo was one of the companies trying to solve that problem. Founded in 1994 by Jerry Yang and David Filo, Yahoo started as a directory of websites. Think of it like a giant, organized list of the internet. Users could browse categories, find websites, read news, check email, and eventually search for information. Yahoo wasn't just a website, it was becoming a gateway to the internet, and its popularity exploded. By the end of the 1990s, Yahoo was one of the biggest internet companies in the world, but something was about to change.
Around the same time, two Stanford University students were working on a completely different approach to search: Larry Page and Sergey Brin. Their idea was simple, but powerful. Instead of treating websites like entries in a directory, why not rank them based on how important they appeared to be? Their system analyzed links between websites. A link from one website to another could act like a vote. The more important the website giving the vote, the more valuable that vote could be. The project eventually became known as Google, and in 1998, Google was officially incorporated. At first, Google looked tiny compared with Yahoo. Yahoo already had the users, the brand, the traffic, the relationships. Google had a search engine, but that search engine was remarkably good. Here's where the story gets interesting. Yahoo didn't ignore Google completely. In fact, Yahoo eventually used Google's search technology. Google became one of Yahoo's search providers. That meant people could use Yahoo, and Google's technology could help power the search results behind the scenes. For Google, this was enormous. Yahoo had millions of users. Google was still trying to establish itself, and the partnership gave Google exposure to a huge audience. But there was a problem. Yahoo wasn't simply a search company. Yahoo wanted to be much more. It wanted to become the front page of the internet. News, email, finance, sports, shopping, entertainment, and search. Yahoo believed the internet could be organized into a massive digital portal. And for a while, that strategy worked. During the late 1990s, internet companies were competing to become the place people visited first. Yahoo was one of the biggest players, but there were others: AOL, Excite, Lycos, AltaVista, and many more. Everyone wanted to control the gateway to the web. Yahoo had a huge advantage. It already had an enormous audience. But there was something Google understood better. Search didn't need to be complicated. Google's homepage was almost shockingly simple: a logo, a search box, and a button. That's it. No giant collection of headlines, no crowded portal, no endless distractions. Just search. And the results were often better. That simplicity became a weapon. As the internet grew, search became more important. People didn't just want to browse websites, they wanted answers. They wanted to find something immediately, and Google was becoming extremely good at doing exactly that. The company focused heavily on search. While Yahoo was building a massive internet portal, Google was refining one core product, search. That difference would become increasingly important because every search gave Google something valuable, information about what people were looking for. The more people searched, the better Google could understand the web. The better the search experience became, the more people came back. It was a powerful feedback loop. Google was becoming a search engine people actively preferred, and Yahoo was becoming something different. By the early 2000s, Google was no longer an obscure startup. It was becoming a serious business. And Yahoo had already worked with Google. But Yahoo's strategy remained focused on being a broad internet portal. Search was important, but it wasn't necessarily the entire company. This was the critical difference. Google viewed search as the center of the internet. Yahoo viewed search as one part of a much larger internet experience. That decision didn't look disastrous at the time. Yahoo was still enormous. It still had millions of users. It still generated massive amounts of traffic. But the internet was changing. Search was becoming the gateway, and whoever controlled that gateway could control an enormous part of the digital economy. Google kept improving. Its search engine became the place people went when they wanted to find something online. And then Google began building something much bigger: advertising. Google discovered that searches could reveal what people wanted. Someone searching for shoes might actually want to buy shoes. Someone searching for flights might be interested in booking a flight. Someone searching for a computer might be ready to purchase one. Google could connect those searches with advertising. And suddenly, search wasn't just useful, it was incredibly valuable. Google's business model became one of the most powerful engines in the history of the internet. The company wasn't simply helping people find websites, it was helping businesses find customers. And Yahoo was now facing a company it had helped introduce to the world. Yahoo wasn't blind to the threat. The company made major moves to strengthen its search business. It invested heavily in technology, it acquired companies, it built its own search capabilities, and it tried to compete with Google. But Google had already built enormous momentum. Search had become its identity. Yahoo had to fight Google, while also running email, news, finance, sports, entertainment, advertising, and dozens of other businesses. The company had become incredibly broad. Google was becoming incredibly focused, and focus mattered.
This is the moment when the story completely changes. In the beginning, Yahoo was the giant, Google was the newcomer. Yahoo helped expose Google to millions of people. Google needed Yahoo. But eventually, Yahoo needed Google. The search engine that once powered Yahoo's results had become one of the most important companies on the internet. Google's name became synonymous with search. People stopped saying, "search the web." They started saying, "Google it." That's when you know a product has become more than a product. It has become part of everyday language. Yahoo continued operating for years. It remained a major internet company, but it never regained the position it once had. The company went through leadership changes, strategic shifts, acquisitions, product launches, and attempts to reinvent itself. But Google had already captured something extremely valuable: the habit of searching. And around that habit, Google built an enormous ecosystem: search, advertising, maps, YouTube, Android, Chrome, cloud services, and much more. Yahoo had once been one of the gateways to the internet. Google became one of the infrastructures of the internet itself. It's tempting to simplify this story. Yahoo had Google. Yahoo said no. Google became huge. End of story. But the reality is more complicated. Yahoo didn't simply have one magical button that said, "Buy Google," and then press no. The companies worked together in different ways. Yahoo had opportunities to make Google more central to its strategy, but Yahoo also had its own technology, ambitions, and vision for the internet. The real mistake wasn't necessarily one decision. It was failing to recognize just how important search was becoming. Yahoo was building the internet portal. Google was building the gateway. And eventually, the gateway won. Yahoo's story teaches us something important about technology. The biggest company today doesn't necessarily control tomorrow. Yahoo had the users. Google had better search. Yahoo had the brand. Google had focus. Yahoo had the portal. Google had the gateway. And eventually, the market decided which one mattered more. That's what makes technology so dangerous. You don't always lose because your product is bad. Sometimes you lose because you misunderstand which part of your product is actually becoming the future. Yahoo didn't disappear overnight. It simply stopped being the company defining the direction of the internet, and Google took its place. In the late 1990s, Yahoo looked like the future. Google looked like a small startup. Today, Google is one of the most powerful technology companies in history, and Yahoo is remembered as one of the companies that once dominated the early internet. The lesson isn't simply never reject a startup. It's much more important than that. When the world changes, your biggest asset can become your biggest distraction. Yahoo had millions of users, but it didn't fully recognize what those users were going to need next. Google did. And that's how the company that once helped Yahoo search the internet ended up becoming the company people used to find everything on it. This is Context Docs, and this is the context behind one of technology's biggest missed opportunities.